Why are you here at Dreamhack?
We are here to really engage with the gaming community. I mean, we've seen what's happening here today and this weekend. It's amazing, and we as a company, we need to be also in the forefront.
Of course, being here at Dreamhack, we have a gaming-centered crowd. We do see a lot of young people coming here today. We've also grown into an audience that we didn't see just a couple of months ago. The parents and the siblings that didn't use the device, and that's something that we always aim for.
Events are coming back, and with games now part of everyday life, one person is a big part of that change. Today we're tapping into Shahin's story of how he got to work with the biggest gaming event brand in the world, and we'll learn what the future holds for Dreamhack and how your game can connect with the players. Let's dive in. Your career origin story, let's start there. How did you get into the gaming industry?
That's, I mean, by gaming, of course. I think that's the natural start for a lot of people. I think more formally in 2007 or so, there was a big kind of gaming forum online called Frag. I was a frequent user visitor poster on Frag, and they they wrote a lot about esports, mostly competitive gaming, and the games that esports were happening in. And I reached out to them and asked if I could write for them. It wasn't a paid job or anything like that, but it was just wanted to do something with the passion. I wasn't good enough at the games, right? So took the next best thing into work around it, and that's how I got in. And ever since then, it's been a long story with different kind of side quests and everything like that. But eventually ended up here at Dreamhack.
So you moved between gaming, esports, and large-scale festivals. What was the defining moment that kind of pulled you into this part of the industry?
So actually, I think in 2012 or 13, I stopped doing what I was doing at that time, which was a more, I was writing for different gaming websites and esports websites, and then I was thinking this isn't going to grow any bigger. I'm not getting too much out of this. I actually left the industry, got an education, started an educational technology company, went into financial technology, and then in 2017, I think it was, the guys over at Dreamhack, who I had met way back 10 years prior, kind of reached out and said, hey, this event we used to do is quite big right now. And we can actually, start paying people, have real jobs and things like that. So from a career, standpoint, it was like, okay, I'm never going to get an opportunity like this anymore. So back in 2017, I got the offer to join Dreamhack, and then I was working on kind of everything digital. So everything we had on our websites, different tournament platforms, streaming services. Oh, should we be, building our own stuff? Should we be using the service? It was a very defining era of especially the esports portion of live streaming, and that's how I came into Dreamhack. And through that, I got to work with all different parts of our festivals, of our events, and eventually now I oversee all of the Dreamhack festivals globally, right? So it's been a great, 7, 8 years at the company. But yeah, that defining moment was me kind of saying, okay, I left the industry to do something else and go into maybe a sexier field with technology. And I was working with the precursor to AI, machine learning, and then just deciding that, okay, I'm not going to get a shot to work with this officially. Let's give it a shot, see where it goes. And it turned out pretty good, at least from my perspective. My parents were a little bit more stressed out about it, but I think they eventually turned as well.
What's the biggest changes that you've seen in terms of how Dreamhack was and is today, but also how the audience was and is today?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I have a very hard task of owning the legacy of a brand that's been around for 31 years. And we know how gaming communities are. They're very attached. I didn't start Dreamhack. I was not a founder. It's been kind of part of a larger company for a while now. And, I've felt a responsibility that I need to live up to some kind of legacy and make everyone happy. But at the same time, I've realized that, Dreamhack organically, or it started out as a school cafeteria gathering of the demo scene, right? Programmers and creatives that just wanted to have fun. And then, that grew into, they met with their computers, that grew into a LAN, gaming becoming a huge part of it, and later esports and everything like that. But that LAN component of bringing your own computer was really what everyone, at least in Sweden, sees Dreamhack as. Globally as well, a lot of people. The phenomenon of LAN hasn't been, it peaked in 2014. And ever since then, it's been kind of on the decline, right? At the same time, gaming is bigger than ever. Content creation around it, esports, but also just the video games industry. I mean, it's bigger than ever, right? As I joined Dreamhack when it was more commercial rather than this organic community gathering, I think we would have done it injustice if we tried to be this community thing only, or this group of volunteers doing something while pretending to be that, while we are also a commercial company that has goals and that wants to grow, right? That could align, but I didn't want to pretend. So the biggest shift we've done is to kind of rid ourselves of this having to do things as they always were, because we realize things aren't as they always were. There's definitely room for organizations and communities and groups of people who want to do this more, grassroots, down-to-earth thing that Dreamhack was between 1994 and somewhere in the mid-2000s, right? But today, Dreamhack is much larger than that. And so now what we're trying to do is to be a reflection of what the gaming community is today. And today, everyone is a gamer. It's not just the basement dweller stereotype and nerd, super nerdy, like probably we were, right? When we grew up with gaming, it was taboo to be a gamer. People bullied you in school for that, right? But now everyone is a gamer, whether they know it or not. And so I think we're trying to make Dreamhack a reflection of that, because that's what we can do best today. It's a long-winded answer, but I think that's kind of like how I think about it when I see about nurturing this legacy, but also trying to make it relevant.
You kind of see a shift to the younger audience not have experienced the OG Dreamhack sensation.
Yeah.
And in general, how people come together. Is that something that is also seen in terms of trend, that it's kind of coming back for us that have been around for a while?
Yes and no. I would say, or what I've come to realize is a hypothesis, I don't know if there is data to even back this up, is that the reason Dreamhack as a LAN grew is the reason Dreamhack today is also growing, even if it's not the LAN component. And it is because people, even gamers who are maybe more, at home and in front of a screen than others, they do want to meet. Like, everyone is a human being, and they want to be in groups and gatherings and see each other physically as well, even if they spend time on Discord or back in the days on Ventrilo or TeamSpeak, So the fact that LAN grew, I think actually didn't have to do so much with the bringing your own computer part of it, but rather the fact that you got to be in a place with other people doing what you love, and surrounding around a culture. And that part is still what's growing, because sure, there's a much larger expo portion, esports portion, but when we ask people why they are coming to Dreamhack festivals today, the number one reason, even when they are forced to choose between I came for this content creator esports, they choose, I came here to hang out with my friends. And that's mind-blowing every time, wherever we are in the world. That's the top one answer. And that just shows to me that, hey, maybe we are actually the same Dreamhack as we were before. It's just that the content itself has changed, but the purpose is still, because this is the safest place for a gamer to actually meet up physically and meet new people, connect with their friends. Maybe they play a lot online but never see each other because they're not living close to each other. So it's also like the question could also be: is DreamHack really that different? Maybe not. It's not the ocean of a LAN with 10,000 seats, right? But it's still that gathering of friends. So yes and no. It's definitely, a lot of people haven't seen the OG DreamHack where it's only a LAN. But at the same time, people are seeing the same thing they probably did before and creating those same nice memories.
So, someone who's seen the evolution firsthand, where do you feel esports events still have room to innovate?
I think they're definitely, every esports event or organizer is definitely still figuring this out. But for me, esports tried to emulate sports for too long and is still doing that. And to a lot of, in some extent, it should be done because, there's a lot of same mechanics. You have a lot of fans, you have a lot of viewers online, the commercial model of it all works. But, for me, it's more like, okay, how could we break that mold? How could we become something where esports is esports? It's not just a game version of sports. So the fact that we bring, a lot of esports to our festivals is pretty unique. There's, of course, sports events that do that as well, but those are usually like the Olympics where a lot of sports are gathered. For us, it's more like esports is a natural part of something that is a little bit bigger than esports, which is the overall gaming culture. And we create like this experiential feeling around it. So if you're coming here, you're not just watching a game or cheering for your favorite team, you're also going around, maybe buying some memorabilia from our artist alley, maybe trying out some new games, maybe seeing another esports that you've never seen before, meeting people that aren't part of that kind of, if you're watching Overwatch here, for example, you're not part of the Overwatch community, but you're part of the finals community. And I think that's something that we have been able to do that's pretty unique, is to create this, we call it a festival, right? But really that we make it a community gathering. Like when you try to emulate sports too much, the equivalent of those community gatherings if you take Sweden, is usually like the ultras on in the arena or anything like that. But I like to think of this as a better sports equivalent is in the US, where you have tailgate parties, where football fans, they meet up in the parking lot and, just have fun, do a grill, drink some beers. Maybe they're not there for the game itself, but they want to be around it. That's what we're trying to do here. And I think that's something that esports still needs to do, because otherwise it's just going to be, people are still going to sit at home and watch, and it's going to be a game, but there's nothing more to it.
What is the unique value of philosophy that EFG brings to the picture?
This is a big question, but I think for EFG to do DreamHack, or for anyone to do a DreamHack, there needs to be a belief that what I'm sitting here saying, that people want to meet up and that we're creating this experiential activation for communities and visitors and fans and gamers, that someone believes that is growing and that will continue to grow, and that there's a reason that we should be doing this, right? And what EFG does, EFG in general is more of an esports heavyweight, right? But I think that belief is there from this group to do DreamHacks, to co-host content like the Overwatch Championship Series or the Brawl Stars World Finals or Intel Extreme Masters in the US, ESL 1 in the UK, so that we can keep building what we're building here. So I think it's not necessarily any unique value or word, I would say. It's more the fact that we are part of a organization, group of people that really believe that there is more to it than what we're currently seeing, and that even though we don't know how DreamHack will look like in 5 years, or how the event space around esports and gaming should look like, we know we will get there. So there's a lot of trust in that process.
So when it comes to gamer expectations and how you look at adapting to those expectations in events.
Yeah.
What do you see being the most important things at the moment?
It's so fun because, you know, throughout the years, it's been so many different things. Like, oh, you know, at start, everyone just wanted to game. Then it was a lot of esports. In the last couple of years, it's been a lot about the content creators. And I think we've still not tapped that fully. Because one of the things I always say is that, you know, if you look at music, for example, you know, I don't like to compare DreamHack to other gaming conventions too much. Because I don't think that's where we want to be. Like, I like to compare them with music festivals a little bit more, or lifestyle fashion things. Because if you look at a music festival, and you take the equivalent of a gaming, like a streamer or a esports pro player or someone notable in gaming, the equivalent that is the music act that's on stage. And they get such a platform at a music festival that they would not get when they are just recording in the studio and releasing a single or an album. And they can stand on that stage, they can, you know, jump out in the crowd, they can feel the energy of the crowd. What I want to do is to create that Rockstar moment for gaming as well, for both the fans and the communities and those acts on stage. So what we're investing a lot in is, okay, when we're bringing big content creators, streamers, pro players, they're not just sitting here doing their thing and maybe potentially, you know, you do a meet and greet and a sign and take a photo. We want them to be on a stage doing a show. We want them to feel the energy. We want them to engage with their audience. Today we're bringing like Beta Squad, which is a big content creator group from the UK. Like we've hosted like a competition where local creators from Stockholm can be part of their group, and they're gonna compete against the fans. It's, you know, we want to make sure that the Rockstar moment that so many other verticals of culture get is there for gaming as well. Because, you know, there's this moment on the Game Awards where Josef Fares goes up and you know.
Look, the Oscars should fuck themselves up. This is the shit. I'm telling you, this is the real shit. What is this? This is the interactive gaming. Look, I'm just saying this. Let me tell. Sorry, I'm taking. Let me just give me a minute. I want to take your time. Look. Okay, can you swear here? Can you swear? Okay. Fuck the Oscars, you know? Fuck the Oscars! Fuck you! I'll tell you! This is bullshit. Look, here's the thing. The game
talks about other, you know, the movie industry and things like that. Like, that's what I want to create, but that's for the industry. Like, the Game Awards is mostly for the industry. You can watch it online. Here, I want to create those types of moments here as well, but for everyone, so that also the visitors can take part of it.
So on that note, then, with partners and publishers, what is a good way to do that? How is that? How should they be thinking and to be able to stand out and create those types of moments?
And I think the key thing here is for whether it's a brand or if it's a game publisher, developer, or if it's ourselves or a content creator, like, there's been this race towards like optimizing your marketing, right? So usually why you are at DreamHack as a brand or a game publisher or even a creator is because you're trying to communicate a message. You have a new game, you have a hardware to sell or something like that. And the past few years or 10 years, every marketing department has optimized for return on ad spend, because you can see if you spend on Instagram $10, you get $100 back or whatever, right? And in that, people have kind of started deprioritizing event activations. And the reason for that is because it's super hard to measure what happens. I totally get that. Like, you don't know, like, sure, how many people came to your booth or signed up or whatever, but that's not really what this is about. This is about creating a culturally defining moment that then you could use in other ways in the future. Like, it's a brand building moment for games or partners that are activating here. So my main advice is to see this as part of a more holistic kind of way to market what you're marketing when you're coming in. to a Dreamhack at least. But you could apply that to any event or any experiential marketing. That, you know, it's not about the just about the views, engagements, or return on ad spend, conversions, and things like that. Build something that can actually make sense, that actually makes sense and creates value offline, and then use that online. That's my piece of advice. It's a little bit fluffy, but if you walk around the show floor, you can see how our presenting partner, Elgiganten, the retail store, right, have definitely done that. They have their own ambassadors. They have main stage shows. They have their own store here and everything like that. They shoot content. They have, and that's always on.
In.
Yeah. And throughout the rest of the year, they use that. And this is where it all comes to life. So they basically create their mini festival at our festival.
When we talk about data and analytics and whatnot, then do you make use of this new generation of all this stuff compared to a few years ago when it might have been harder or even fluffier in some ways with some people? And if so, how do you make use of it?
You're thinking of the data of our visitors, or
general, where we are more informed as a industry these days.
No, for sure. I mean, I think there's two aspects to it. There's definitely, I mean, we survey everyone that comes here. We can read reports. We know, for example, in Sweden and in the UK and the US, where we are very prevalent, like we have these kind of youth engagement reports and how they're feeling, and we use that. Like, one of the key insights that we know about is that, hey, you know, young people are feeling more alone and depressed today. So that's what justifies our kind of existence, to create a space where they can meet. We can get data on our marketing reports and PR kind of engagements, and, you know, with all the tools that are out there, I think we definitely use that to form our strategy. But you shouldn't, you know, forget that somewhere this is a cultural thing. All of gaming is culture, and culture has never been kind of innovated in based on just your existing set of data, right? Like, before this job, I was doing machine learning to optimize e-commerce conversions. Sounds super boring, right? But, you know, you have this exploration versus exploitation trade-off, where if you just try to optimize based on the set that you have, you'll never find anything new. In culture, to find that something new, it is going to be about just gut feeling after you've exposed yourself to so many other different things. So I think for us, the most valuable data is that I send out the team and I go myself to so many other events, so many other experiences, whether it's festivals, it doesn't need to be gaming, it could be music, it could be completely outside of our industry, it could be permanent locations like museums and things like that, and just see what are other people doing, how are people walking around, just observing the visitors and things like that. That's how we use it. But I think that's applicable to anything that has to do with culture. Even if I know you talk to a lot of like video game developer and publishing industry people, like that's how you should be creating games as well, right? Because otherwise you're just gonna copy paste what everyone else is doing. If I were starting a game right now, I would do an extraction shooter 3v3 and try to do it free to play and do micro transactions on it. Would it work? Probably. Will it be the best thing that ever happened? No. That's not how you innovate. I don't think so.
So you've worked with a lot of different cultures now.
Yeah.
What have been your biggest lessons to date? And what would you say to your younger self getting into this now? Because it's been enough years to be able to reflect upon that. Our industry is crazy when it comes to time.
Yeah.
And just a few years feels, or even in terms of evolution, is crazy. Right?
Yeah. No, I think one of the biggest lessons is that I think we can never define, since we work so much with content and bringing stuff to our show floor, like we can never tell people what works. Like, of course, we can steer in the right direction, we can facilitate, we can platform, but at the end of the day, we're following the community, because the organism of the community is so much stronger, and they're not as hive-minded as people want to think. If you look closer, you can see micro patterns even when cultural frames of references are consolidating because of social media and things like that. You can find micro patterns, and you should be picking up on those in order to find what can be done in a new way or innovate. So, you know, a lot of kind of brands or companies or developers like, oh, we're defining the new path of what we should be doing. I think it's more about we're following where the community wants to go, because people will eventually know what they want. You just need to kind of translate it for them. I don't know. There's this saying, like I think Ford was saying, like, oh, if I would have asked people what they want, they would have want a faster horse, you know, so the car wouldn't have happened. That's true, right? But he interpreted a need and translated it into a new type of doing something, right? That was following a community's in some sense. That's how I think about it as well. So that's definitely one of my biggest learnings, is that from my younger self who thought I understood and knew everything about how we should be doing stuff and what people like. It's like, especially as I grow older, becoming a dad, like things like that. It's like, no, I will also become obsolete and old, and I will only kind of stay on top of it if I listen to everyone else and observe everyone else. That's probably...
Is that the mix that you have with your staff as well?
Yes.
Of seasoned and young people?
Yes, so we try to bring in people from all over the world, from all different types of cultures. Some people are from gaming, some people are not from gaming. Our kind of lieutenant for this festival actually came from the music industry. A lot of people from gaming, but with different parts of gaming, where it's more maybe casual events or maybe very pro esports and things like that. But I also, of course, ask everyone to kind of challenge themselves, and that, you know, just because it's worked before or we've done it before doesn't mean we need to do it again, for sure.
What's the future for Dreamhack then?
If I only knew. No, I think, you know, we want to become the place where every gamer is kind of like with their group of friends, saving up money to go to, right? If you're a big EDM fan, you're saving up money to go to Tomorrowland every year. Like, that's what I want Dreamhack to be for gamers. We've been on a path of kind of like, Dreamhack was just 3 years ago, we had 14 events around the world. We were doing licensing, and so there were a lot of Dreamhacks done by organizers that were not us. We were doing about half, and licensees were doing the other half, like a franchise model, right? I want to kind of, I've been on a path of kind of resetting this. We want to create a few big beats throughout the year and really make those the cultural moments of gaming, so that whenever something happened in gaming that was not in-game, it happened at Dreamhack. You know, something like 40% of a gamer's gaming life is spent outside of the game. They're watching something on Twitch or YouTube. They are maybe, you know, buying gaming stuff, or maybe they're talking about games, or maybe they are at an event like this. So there's definitely place for, you know, outside the game. And that's what we want to kind of capitalize on. No, it's the Tomorrowland of gaming is the goal. What that means, we'll see in 5 years if we've reached it or not, and what's actually on the show floor.
Thank you very much, Shahin.
Thank you.
Shahin sees the future as bright for events where today's youth and families have somewhere to go, connect, and be part of the pulse that is the video game industry. What once was declining for our industry, a new era of opportunity is now here. We will discuss how to master events in a future lesson at the Academy. Until then, see you next time.